All right. It was pointed out to me that perhaps my measurements in the trunk weren't exactly accurate, so I want to go back and remeasure it and just make sure that I got it right. Let's have a look. All right, so let's start with this dimension. We go from here to here. You're looking at somewhere close to 40 inches to get to here. So that's one dimension. So the problem would appear to be with this, the fact that there's these little wells here where the wheels are and whatever. So as we go across and look at it to there, that's about 37 inches, between 36 and 37 inches. So that covers now the dimensioning of the underside, the maximum height you can get to under here, still stands at about 17 inches. So that didn't change, so we're good there. So what does that mean as far as trunk size? It's a little bit smaller than what I originally estimated, what I measured, because you have the little bit of variability there, a little bit of lost space. So it's not quite what I said, but it's still pretty close. And if we look at the under compartment, the place where we have the extra space, we can see that if we measure, there's a ledge there. If we measure across, we get to about 26 inches to get to the ledge on this side. Because there's the little cutout there, if we measure at the minimum distance here, that would be to about there. That would be close to 16 inches. So it's a little different than maybe what we thought. Kind of gives an idea of where we are. So it's about 16 inches to the inside part. The depth of it is maybe closer to 11. Maybe you could make the case that it's actually even 10. So it gives you an idea, right? So again, thinking about the overall dimensions, it may not be exactly what we thought it was. It's close, but it's a little different. All right, so we know what the measurements are again. That should correct that. Now I also wanted to correct something else. I had talked about creep mode in a previous version of my video, and creep mode doesn't quite work the way I thought it did. It's a little different. Let's go into the control panel and we'll take a look at some of the things that are there, and we'll talk about them. If we look at our whole control panel, it's interesting, and here's something I wanted to point out right off the bat. As we look at what we have available to us in here, so let's take a look at the car itself. It says it's a standard plus, which I am clearly not driving at this point. That's it's not a standard plus, and I can tell it's not a standard plus because many of the features and things that would be there for a standard plus are not there. But it still says that, which is kind of odd. I know they're always updating software and doing some things. As far as that goes, when I look at some of the other things that are in here, I know that I don't have the fog lights, so that's not, so I know that I don't have some of the features that are there. I still have, oddly, I still have the ability to heat my seats, even though I don't care about my seats, but only the front two. The back two, there's no way to change them on this control here, which is really strange. But another thing that they said that they give you is the immersive sound. So if I go to the control panel settings, there we go. Takes me a moment sometimes, and go to options. You see that it says immersive sound on and off, and I can still change it. Now they tell me that for the standard range, it shouldn't have immersive sound at all. That shouldn't even exist as an option. So the fact that it does makes me wonder just a little bit what's going on here. Now the other thing I know is that for charging, I know how far I can go. So if I were to actually set the charging here, okay. So if I come over here and I click on charging, I know that I've got it set to 90%, and 90% is about just under 200 miles. So if I go to 100%, it's going to be about 210 miles, which is right in that range, 210, 215, something like that, which is right in that range. It would be 10% lower than the 240 that it offers if you're purchasing the car with the extended range. So there's something weird going on here. I can't quite figure out what. The other thing I noticed is, as I come in here, some of the features for autopilot are there and some aren't. Now I expected some to be there. So for autopilot, I expected a few of these features to be available to me. You know, like the speed limit warning display, the speed limit, these are all standard features that help you to drive the car. And a couple of times they've already come into play. At least once, it told me that there was a car stopping in front of me. Now I was already aware of the car stopping in front of me and had already slowed down, but it detected that the car was stopping. It wasn't stopping any faster than it had been before, but it was interesting to see the car turned red on the display and was telling me that it was there, and it started to brake for me. I just thought that was interesting, unexpected. Didn't really see that coming up as something that would happen. Now the other thing I wanted to talk about was the driving. I talked about creep start and slip start. Now I talked about creep start in a previous video, and I said it wasn't available to change, and that was true. It wasn't available to change. The creep mode is supposed to be to slowly move forward when the brake is released. So this is something that's more like what you would expect from a normal car. I was right about that, but turning it on and off doesn't affect the hold. So we're going to take a look at turning it on and off and see what happens. Now the slip start, is supposed to help when you're like in snow or mud or something like that, and it actually rolls the tires differently, so the torque is different when you're on there. That's something I can't really test without actually being somewhere where it's going to make a difference. But I don't even see the feature enabled, and I don't know why. And maybe because, no, I'm in park, it should be there. I'm not sure. So first we're going to drive for a minute with creep mode off, and we'll just drive in the parking lot here and we'll see what it looks like. Now we're going to pull out a little bit here, and we're just going to drive a short distance. We'll just go a little bit, and we'll I'll just tap the brake to put us in. I'll go ahead and let us slow down here a minute, and we'll slow down. I'll go ahead and tap the brake, slow us down. So now we're going 1 mile an hour, and now we're going 0. So we're actually should be standing still. Now I'm going to go ahead and put us in hold mode, and we're not moving. Now when I tap the accelerator to take hold mode off, we stay at 0 miles per hour. Nothing changes, right? You can see how that works. Now let's go ahead and turn creep mode back on. I'll put it in park for a moment here, so I can turn creep mode back on. And you can see now I can do slip start. I don't know why that worked that way. Maybe because I had been in park, I'm not sure. But anyway, I'll go ahead and put it in the creep mode on, and I'll put it back in drive. And we'll put it in hold like that. Now I'm going to take it off of hold with a slight touch of the gas. Now what happens is, you can see that we're actually moving. I didn't touch the gas. All I did was just take it out of hold mode. And it allows me to creep along much as you would with a standard transmission car with an internal combustion engine. So let's go ahead and put it back in hold, like this. And we'll go ahead and put it in park for a moment, turn creep mode back off. I prefer it off personally. I like the fact that you can just sit at a traffic light and you're basically in neutral. It's like driving a car that's a standard shift. You put the car in neutral and it doesn't roll unless there's a little bit of a hill. So I like that feature. So let's go ahead and put it back in gear, back in hold mode here. And I'll take the hold mode off by just touching the gas lightly, and we stay still. We're sitting at 0 miles an hour. Now we are rolling a little bit because there is a tiny bit of a hill here, but essentially we're not moving. That's really what's happening here. We're not moving at this point. So I just wanted to clarify what creep mode did, because I got it a little bit wrong in my discussion before.